What is up, my ducks and drakes? Welcome to the Crowded Lake, and today we're reading chapters 1 through 6 of Alone, a Sanderside's fanfic, sequel to Forced Liar by Uncertain Inadequate. Before we begin, I'd like to apologize for my absence. A lot's been going on with our school show of Frozen, and I've literally been coming home at like 9 o'clock and going to bed at 10, and I still take 30 minutes to eat dinner, so I've been really busy. I'd just like to thank you all for your patience through all this. I'll get back to regularly uploading starting this Monday. Just thank you. Now, before we begin, all the trigger warnings will be in the description below. For those of you who ask, I put them in the description because some people don't like seeing triggers before they read something because they call it spoilers instead of triggers, which I personally do not understand because I feel like if you don't like something, then you shouldn't have to read it. But if you are interested in looking at the triggers, they're in the description. And with that, we'll go on to the prologue. Remus had arrived in Deceit's room a moment too late after the side's suicide. Any quicker and he would have been able to save the love of his life. He was forced to clean up the mess and bury Deceit's body by himself outside the mindscape. Nobody but him knew that Deceit was dead. Nobody but him cared. He was the only one who cared. The only one who ever did care. All Deceit's old stuff had been moved into his own room. Call it weird, if you will, but he missed him. He missed his snake to joke around with. He missed having someone to have things in common with that were common in a comforting way. Plus, being alone doesn't exactly help with sanity. Deceit had always been there for him, ever since the split. Yet Remus couldn't even be there for him when he needed it most. Why couldn't he get there in time? Why did he have to move so slow? Fucking useless. Fast forward 2 weeks, and no one has seen either dark sides, yet no one is concerned. That is, of course, until they start to realize strange things happening to Thomas. He can't lie, and some of his acting skills are slipping up. The light sides all had a meeting one night whilst having dinner, and, somewhat unwillingly, they all decided to journey to Deceit's room to see what the fuck was going on. And this, my friends, is where our story continues. Dun-dun-dun. Chapter 1. Virgil looked anxiously at Roman. Are you sure you can protect us from him if something goes wrong? Roman rolled his eyes and nodded. Yes, Virgil. But he has 6 arms. And? Virgil didn't reply, and Roman sighed, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. Look, Vivi, nothing will go wrong. Virgil smiled softly at him. If you say so, Romy. Kiddos? Patton, who had already entered Deceit's room, stepped out again. Yeah, Pat? Virgil looked over at the father's side, who had something went wrong written all over his face. So much for what Roman said, anyways. It's not here, Patton mumbled awkwardly. Logan raised an eyebrow as he spoke up. Patton, what do you mean by it's not here? May you please go into further detail? Patton looked down and played with his card again nervously. Everything's gone. The fuck? Virgil expected Patton to react to him swearing, but he didn't. God, how bad can it be? Logan answered the question by peeking into the room and saying, It would appear Deceit has left his room. Wait, is everything really gone? Rowan asked, somewhat rhetorically, with wide eyes peeking into the room. What? There's a knife. But that's it. Virgil bit his bottom lip. What could have happened? Did something bad happen? Where was Deceit? He was hoping it was okay, despite everything. He truly cared about Deceit because, well, he trained himself to block those thoughts out, even though he was entirely sure anymore. Should we ask Rem if he knows anything? Roman suggested. He's been blocking any and all contact with us for 2 weeks, so he must know something. He mumbled. He had done something to make Remus hate him. Was it regarding with Deceit? Before or something? Surely not. That'd be overdramatic to happen, right? That would be indeed wise. I suggest we all venture to Remus's room to ask him, Logan said with a monotone voice, trying to seem unaffected. However, in all honesty, he was worried. Was that this emotion? He wouldn't know. Thomas's newfound ways were alarming in a way. Sudden change like this wasn't good for anyone. The other three instantly ran down the dark hallway to Remus's room, Logan trailing behind slowly. To the others, the sooner this was over, the better. To him, it didn't matter what speed they all went at, they would still accomplish the same things afterwards. Roman opened his mouth to complain about Logan's speed, but Logan shushed him by putting his hand up and showing him his flat palm. That would be an unnecessary complaint, Roman. Roman glared at him, and Logan rolled his eyes as he brought his hand down after readjusting his glasses. Patton knocked at Remus's door a few times. "Kiddo? It's me, Patton. I'm with the others. Can we come in?" Silence. "Kiddo?" Shuffling about. "All right, you can come in, I guess." Remus finally responded from the other side. His voice was raspy, having been pretty much unused for the past fortnight. Patton placed a hand on the doorknob and turned it, opening the door. As soon as him and the other three saw him, eyes laid upon the room's contents, they froze. After a few minutes of silence and staring, Virgil looked at Remus with wide eyes, hand covering his mouth in shock. What happened? Chapter 2. Remus looked at them with an insane look in his eyes. It was one of those looks that genocatagomaniac might have, whilst eyeing their next victim from a distance. He was hugging a yellow snake plush with two heads, which would have once belonged to Deceit next door. He was sitting cross-legged on a yellow and black couch with many other similarly color-coded items surrounding him. The purple makeup usually around his eyes were stained all the way down his cheeks. It made him look even more insane. Patton hid behind Logan nervously. Logan, not really showing any care about this behavior from Remus. Virgil backed away to hide behind Roman, whilst Roman pulled out his sword out for defense. "What do you assholes want?" Remus asked, his voice shallow and full of hatred. Patton whimpered in fear, and Remus chuckled quietly. "Oh, you scared?" "What happened, Remus? Why are you acting like this, and where's Deceit?" Roman asked, his voice raised as if Remus were the enemy. Remus laughed manically and jumped off the couch, still clutching the plush in his right hand. He pulled out a flail with his bare hand and twirled it in the air. "Well?" Roman glared at his brother, instinctively moving to be in front of the three of his comrades, not just Virgil. Remus continued to laugh before managing to calm himself down to some extent, still laughing between words. "You care about Deceit? Don't keep me fucking laughing." "Well," Roman bit his lip awkwardly. "Tell me," Remus began as he let go of the flail and it went flying towards the floor, closer to Virgil. The anxious train just managed to move out of the way in time before it flew into the wall and created a massive hole. "How's Thomas been?" It would appear that Thomas's acting skills have been faltering, often confusing and annoying Roman, and he hasn't been able to lie, Logan stated in a matter-of-fact tone. "And why do you think that is, Remus sauntered over to them, grabbing the morning star off the wall and holding it at his side. The visitors remained silent, thinking before grunting in confusion. "Really?" Remus asked in shock in his voice, raising an eyebrow. "Neither of yous are smart enough to work it out." They shook their heads at him. "God damn it! You're all fucking idiots!" Remus mumbled, face palming while face plushing with the snake plushie.
He's ducked out. Forever.
Thank the Lord we got rid of... Roman began as Remus, aiming at his mace at him to shut up. Paddington looked at Remus uneasily.
Well,
can we get him to come back? Remus sighed, and a shadow cast over his face as he turned around to face away from the others. This is what he'd been telling himself for 2 weeks, that Deceit had ducked out, because he didn't want to accept it. He didn't want it to be true. Can we?
No.
Remus mumbled quietly, dropping the morning star and hugging the plush tightly with 2 hands.
Why not?
Virgil froze as he made a guess at what happened, and he didn't want to assume the worst.
Why not?
Remus placed the plush down and carefully, as if it were the most fragile thing to ever have existed, picking up his mace again. He began to giggle quietly, with an insane undertone, turning around. Both of his hands gripped it tightly and was grinning sinisterly.
Why? Deceit's dead. And he's dead because of you.
Chapter 3. Virgil covered his mouth and a few tears prickled in his eyes. Pet had mimicked Virgil's hand actions, but hardly any tears appeared. Logan's eyes filled with tears, and he tensed. Roman stood emotionless. Remus giggled.
Stop pretending you care, you three. We all know you didn't.
He looked at Roman and grinned intensely.
At least someone isn't faking how he feels. You never did. You've never cared, and you've never tried to. God, I'm ashamed to have you as a fucking brother.
Roman pulled his sword out and aimed it at Remus. Yeah? Well, the feeling is fucking mutual.
Oh no. My idiotic brother doesn't like me. Hell below my poor, poor feelings.
Remus exclaimed dramatically in a sarcastic manner, rolling his eyes. What the fuck do you care about Deceit being dead anyways? His death is something we should celebrate. Roman threw his hands in the air.
Why should I celebrate the death of one I love with the reasons he's dead?
Remus yelled at him. There was no traces of sanity within him. All of that left when Deceit died. He didn't care what happened. The others needed to pay for what they'd done. Roman froze. You're a disgrace, he growled through gritted teeth. How could you love someone like him? Remus couldn't help but giggle.
Me? I am the disgrace.
He swiftly dashed over beside Roman and leaned on Roman's shoulder with a bent elbow, crossing one leg over the other.
Oh, my dear, dear brother. Have you seen yourself yet?
Oh. Roman growled and shoved Remus away from himself. He attempted to swipe Remus with his sword, but missed as Remus easily dodged in a giggly mess.
Oh, come on now, Romy. Do you really want to hurt your own dear brother?
Remus asked in a teasing manner. He hopped back onto the couch and held his mace behind him, Harley Quinn style. You're no brother of mine, Roman spat at him. Logan wiped tears from his eyes and sighed. Roman, don't you feel you are being rather irrational? No, he loved the enemy. Roman's head wiped around and to follow him to look at Logan. Again, you're being irrational. What exactly made Deceit the enemy? Logan asked. Oh, come on now, nerd. You hated him too, Roman argued. Hate's a strong word. The two of us never got along, but I never disliked him. That would indeed be an irrational move on my behalf.
Oh, stop lying, nerdy Wolverine.
Remus sighed and rolled his eyes. He was getting sick and tired of their bickering.
Neither of you guys ever cared about Deceit, and that's the fucking truth. Before either of you shitheads say otherwise, think about where Deceit is now. Think about what's fucking happened because of you guys. Deceit fucking killed himself because of you guys.
Remus's eyes stung with tears as he raised his voice at them. They all fell silent until Virgil spoke up quietly. What did you do with the body?
He's buried outside,
Remus mumbled quietly before clearing his throat and speaking up.
Anyways,
Roman interrupted. Back to what I was saying. Deceit was the enemy. That's set in stone, and nothing can change that. Aside from that, he was also worthless and useless to Thomas. Remus took a deep breath to stop himself from killing Roman. Then and there, Logan sighed. Roman, your act of fiction. I'm sorry, that was a long word. If you're following along in the actual fake looking description, you could see that word. It's very long. I'm sorry. Was unnecessary and incorrect. Remus blinked.
Okay, whilst Logan making us feel stupid by using big words, I'm gonna just do what I've been waiting 2 weeks to do.
Which is? Roman raised an eyebrow at his brother. Remus began to giggle hysterically. He breathed his morning star and dashed towards Roman, eyes wide and filled with bad intentions.
Destroying you.
Chapter 4. Remus squirmed as he tried to escape the chains around his wrists. He couldn't stay tied up there. He needed to get out. He needed to, and he had to kill the others. They drove Deceit to suicide. They deserved death.
Let me out!
He screeched at the four sides standing in front of him. All but Roman looked at him in sympathy. Sorry, Rem. No can do, Roman said blankly, moving to hold his sword behind his shoulders. What do you take us for, idiots? Please, if we would let you kill us.
Yeah, well, you fucking deserve it.
How the fuck do I?
What do you mean, how the fuck do I? You're the main reason Deceit's fucking dead! He killed himself! Yeah, because you were always treating him like he was a disgrace and a fucking sentry!
Remus's eyes darted to glare at the other three light sides.
I don't think you three are off the hook just as bad!
He noticed the sympathetic looks on the three eyes, patterned less than the others, but it was still there. But he didn't care. He didn't need their pity. Virgil visibly shrunk away, stepping backwards in a couple of steps. I didn't.
You didn't what? You didn't do this? 'Cause yes, you fucking did.
Remus yelled at the purple and black side. Emotional pain and insanity coiled within his tone of voice as he began to break down inside, yet he tried his darndest not to show it. Tears began to slip from Virgil's eyes as he backed away more. All pairs of eyes were upon him now, and he looked like a scared kid surrounded by known murderers. But I didn't mean to. Roman's head snapped around to see Remus. Stop yelling at Virgil before I tear your head off, your neck, and slice you into shreds, he growled lowly in threatening volume only Remus could hear. Remus smirked challengingly.
I'd like to see you try, Romy.
Logan sighed and adjusted his glasses, clearing his throat to get Roman's attention. We should be going now, any longer here, and more of us may go insane from communicating with Remus. Roman looked at Logan and sighed, putting his sword away and folding his arms. Ugh, fine. You're no fun, Logan. I am not. As a matter of fact, attempting to create pleasure in your life by being fun. I am simply stating the fact that we should be going back to our mind palace now, Logan stated, looking up at him in a slight glare. Roman sighed and looked back up at Remus. We'll be back eventually. You deserve more punishment for overreacting like this. With that, he turned around and walked off with the other three following.
No, you deserve punishment, you fucking... You can't just leave! I'm still stuck here!
Remus screeched loudly as the last four were exiting the room. Patton turned around and looked at him. For a moment, his eyes changed color to a tinted red.
Oh, but we can, and we will.
Then he walked out just like the others.
Chapter 5. Virgil's point of view. I can't believe it. Deceit's dead. He's dead and it's all my fault. I've been horrible to him ever since joining the light sides, but I haven't meant to. I was just scared of being outcasted again. But it's led to Deceit killing himself. I know I shouldn't be putting all the blame on myself, but I can't help but do just that. I shouldn't have been so selfish. I should have been there for him. I could always sense negative emotions within Deceit, but I didn't. I didn't realize how bad it was. He's been there for me whenever I needed him, even when I would yell at him and call him names. But what do I do to thank him? I help add to the reasons he's no longer here. He's been breaking down for years and I never noticed. God, I was so blind. My thoughts were interrupted by a knock at the door, accompanied by a charming voice calling, "Vivi, you okay? I was coming to see you and then heard you crying and I got worried. Can I come in?" I smiled to myself slightly and wiped my tears, which I hadn't realized had fallen. "Yeah, you can come in, Roman." The door opened and my handsome prince entered through the doorway. He was holding 2 cups of what I guessed was hot chocolate by the smell. We both exchanged smiles before he came over and sat down in front of me, handing a hot chocolate to me. "What's wrong?" he asked worriedly. I couldn't help but look away. What would he do if I told him the truth? He clearly hated Deceit, so would he hate me as well? He already instantly began hating Remus once he found out that he cared about Deceit. "It's nothing important," I mumbled quietly, hoping that was an acceptable answer for him. It wasn't. As I looked up to look at Roman again, his hand was cupped around my cheek softly. "What's wrong, baby? Please tell me. If it's making you upset, then it's obviously something important." I bit my bottom lip and leaned into his hand slightly. "Sorry, Ro." "For what?" he asked softly, beginning to caress my cheek confidently with his thumb. Despite not knowing what was wrong, he was still great at calming me. I'm still not sure if it's what he does or the fact that it's Roman, and yet not telling you. I rolled quietly, looking down at my hot chocolate. Roman sighed sympathetically and placed his hot chocolate down on the ground carefully before running his other hand through my hair. "It's all right, V. I won't pressure you into telling me if you're not comfortable about it." I smiled softly yet weakly at him as I looked back up at him. "Is it okay if I don't tell you, then?" He nodded, and I felt as if the world had been lifted off my shoulders. "Thanks." I smiled sheepishly at him before lifting my hot chocolate up and taking a sip of it. God, I haven't had hot cocoa in ages. Roman chuckled quietly and pecked his cheek before picking up his own hot chocolate and moving to sit beside me, leaning against my headboard. "Disney movie?" I beamed and nodded. "Yeah. Can we watch Black Cauldron? No songs is perfect." Roman interrupted me, smirking. I rolled my eyes and giggled quietly. "You know me so well." He just stuck his tongue out at me and grabbed my remote and turned the movie on. The disc was already in my TV, so no hassle needed. I'd be concerned if I didn't, concerning you're my boyfriend," he joked quietly, and I sighed contentedly, leaning my head on his shoulder as the movie began to play. I felt his hand running through my hair, and I smiled happily. Wait. But this is wrong. He's the main cause for Deceit being dead, according to Remus, after all. And therefore, he's partial the cause of my problem. But I still love him, so this shouldn't feel wrong. Oh, God, my head's being messed with. Chapter 6. Patton's POV. Dear Diary, Remus has been chained up in his room for about a week now. I keep trying to go there with the essentials for him to survive, but there's always this thing that happens. It's like a blackout, but I know I'm not passing out because each time when I regain consciousness, I'm standing in my room. I spoke to Logan about this, but he doesn't know much about it either. He said this happens to him whenever he tries to go near Remus's room. I asked Virgil if he knew anything about it, but he just shook his head and walked off. I noticed fear in his eyes, so I can't help but feel like it happens to him as well. I asked Roman, and he said the exact same thing. Nothing ever makes sense. Dear Diary, since yesterday I've asked Virgil about it again, and he spoke to me more openly. He said that it happened to him as well, and he was worried about what it could be, and that, for all we know, it only means more trouble. I assured him that everything would make sense eventually, and that it's okay, but really, I'm not sure about that myself, but he's right. He also said that him and Roman had been talking about it. I asked him what Roman said about it, and he said that Roman was just on edge as he was. God, what's going on? Dear Diary, I can't keep doing this. It pains me so much to see him like this, but I have no choice. It's for their own good. I can't have them getting hurt. If anything happened to them, I'd never forgive myself, and I don't think I'd be able to. But more questions only seem to be appearing. What happens if they find out what's going on? What if the love of my life finds out? He'll hate me, and if that happens, I don't think I'd survive much longer. Dear Diary, it happened again. I did it again. I can't stop myself. I can't go back now. I need to continue doing this. Eventually, they'll stop trying, and things will be better. Then I can help him, myself, and make up for everything. Hopefully, have him believe me. Then get rid of him. I know it's wrong, but I have to, for their own good, and their own safety. If any of them got hurt because of me not being able to protect them, well, let's just leave it there, shall we? Hey guys, that's it for this week. So I am so sorry for pausing there. I was so tempted to move forward, but I also do have everything separated equally so that we can move into the gift of fanfiction without interrupting the story right in the middle. Then again, technically reading more chapters would just make that transition smoother, meaning I won't have to read more in the future. But you guys could wait. I know you can. I'm treating you guys like dogs, I'm sorry. You guys are ducks, not dogs. There's a difference. But overall, thank you all for listening. If you'd like to check out the author or the book itself, both of those links are in the description below. There's also links to all my social medias, including my TikTok, which I've been getting pretty spicy on. You know how I mentioned that I was in the show Frozen? Well, I'm recording TikToks in my costume. There, you'll be able to see my Sven costume. Get it? I know you all are probably like, well, you guys, you have a beautiful voice. What are you, Elsa? No, I'm terrible, so I got Sven. Yeehaw. No, I auditioned for Sven. It's not because I'm terrible. I literally auditioned for the Yeah. So, yeah, I've just been really tired because of that lately, and I hope you guys understand, and I thank you guys for still being with me through this. I'm working very hard between this and the gift of fanfiction and preparing for that. So, yeah. Thank you so much for listening. And, like always, do your best.